This meeting is being broadcast live over the internet and will be available to view online now and in the future. May I remind members that as per statutory guidance made under Section 4 of the Local Government Wales Measure 2011 and our formally adopted hybrid meeting policy, any member attending a meeting remotely must be able to be seen and be heard by the members and officers who are attending the meeting, as well as by members of the public viewing the meeting. So can I ask that you all please use cameras for the duration of the meeting, please? We welcome the use of the Welsh language at meetings. I have had no requests for people to speak Welsh today, so this meeting will be conducted in English only. Members in the chamber, please be aware that we're all on camera and that you may be visible on screen when people around you are speaking. And please remember to speak clearly into your microphones. Members participating remotely, can you please refrain from using the chat function and instead use the raise hand icon to indicate when you want to speak. And please remember to keep your microphone muted when you are not talking. Okay, thank you for that. Moving on to the agenda. Item 1 then, attendance and apologies. Chris, have we any apologies, please?
We have, Chair. We've got apologies from Councillors Charles Davis, Carl Gordon and Elizabeth Haynes.
Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else got anything? No. If we move then on to item 2, which are declarations of interest. Now, members, do you have any interest to declare? Anyone? No? Okay then, nobody? Thank you. We will then move on to item 3 then, which is minutes of the last meeting on the 9th of the 5th, 24, page 3 to 16. Members, could you possibly state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? And if not, I will take them as approved. Has anybody got anything to raise? So, take that as approved then. We all agree on that? Yeah. Thank you. We'll now move on to item 4 then, which is the workload update quarters 3 and 4, October 2023 to March 2024, page 7 to 20. Who's going to deliver the report? Be Hayley. Would you like to deliver your report, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. So the purpose of the report is to update members on the General Licensing Committee on the work undertaken by the licensing team during quarters 3 and 4 of the reporting period. This report before the committee today is to provide an update on the work of the licensing team in relation to its functions that sit under the General Licensing Committee, those being Hackney Carriage and Private Hire Licensing, scrap metal, charity collections, house-to-house and street collections, street trading, smoke-free legislation, animal establishment licensing, sex establishment licensing. Operational matters in respect to Hackney Carriage and Private Hire Licensing. So a total of 48 complaints were received in the final quarter of the year relating to Hackney Carriage and Private Hire Licensing. Complaints relating to vehicle licensing included obscuring the vehicle registration plates, Hackney Carriage vehicles not displaying the required roof sign, and 9 licensed vehicles from neighbouring authorities parking on the Torvine designated Hackney Carriage ranks. Complaints received in respect to licensed vehicles from neighbouring authorities parking on Torvine Hackney Carriage ranks have subsequently been passed on to the relevant licensing authority to investigate. 21 separate complaints have been received in relation to licensed Hackney Carriage and Private Hire drivers. Allegations have included undisclosed medical conditions, use or sale of illegal substances, verbal abuse or aggression towards passengers or other licensed drivers, using a mobile phone whilst driving, inappropriate remarks towards a female and on social media. The team have dealt with 4 complaints relating to allegations of unlicensed drivers or vehicles operating within the area. All complaints received have been investigated and action taken as appropriate, and where information has been received which is outside of the remit of the team, it has been shared with the relevant partner agencies. In December 2023, a multi-agency operation was carried out with officers from the DBSA and officers from the licensing team. In March 2024, a second multi-agency operation was conducted, this time with officers from Gwent Police. Over the course of the 2 operations, a total of 24 Torvine licensed vehicles were stopped and inspected to ensure public safety. There have been 14 delegated decision reports considered by either the Strategic Director or Chief Executive during Q3 and 4 of the reporting periods. These have included 6 applications to renew vehicle licences which have been received after the licence expiry date, and 4 applications to renew vehicles over the age of 10 years of age and contrary to the age limit set out in Torvine's policy. 5 of the matters have been referred to licensing panel for decision. There have been a total of 6 hearings during Q3 and Q4 for Hackney Carriage and private hire matters, and further details are illustrated in the below table. In respect to scrap metal, the team has investigated 1 complaint relating to an unlicensed scrap metal collector in Q3 of the reporting period. A written warning was issued. The collector subsequently applied for and was granted a licence authorising the collection of scrap metal in the Torvine area. There have been no complaints in relation to charity collections during the reporting period. In relation to street trading, there have been 5 complaints relating to street trading in Q3 and Q4. 2 complaints were investigated and the trading was found to be taking place inside the premises, meaning that street trading consent was not required. Following a complaint received regarding an unlicensed ice cream van, the trader has since obtained consent to trade within the borough. An investigation commenced in the reporting period into an unlicensed street trader operating in the district without consent being in place. This was corroborated when a test purchase was carried out. The trader has since applied for and been granted a street trading consent. There have been no complaints in the reporting quarter in relation to smoke-free legislation. And during the final 2 quarters of 2023 and 24 year, the team received 6 complaints alleging illegal dog breeding. All complaints have been investigated and advice and warning given as appropriate. Investigations are ongoing in respect to 1 allegation. There have been no complaints in relation to sex establishment licensing. The workload activities undertaken during the reporting period are included in the activity report, which is attached as Appendix A. Officers have been able to meet the majority of targets and in some cases have exceeded those set out for 2023 and 24. Targets relating to unlicensed premises, scrap metal collectors, gambling premises and street trading have not been achieved. And to note, the team lost a full-time member of staff in February following the resignation of an officer, which had an adverse effect on available resources in the team. The team have received a total of 1,057 requests for advice, including FOIs, which have been dealt with by the team during 2023 and 24, compared to 1,208 in 2022 and 23 and 1,051 in 2021-22. There has been a 60% increase in the total number of complaints received during 2023 and 24 when compared with the previous year. There have been 2 complaints against service during the reporting period, and both complaints have been investigated and no further action was required. The recommendations before the Licensing Committee today are to note and comment on the contents of this report and note the activity report for October 2023 and March 2024. Thank you, Chair. That concludes my report.
And you handled that well with all that. Is there any questions of any members at all regarding the report? The only one question I got is on item 4.1.6, where you had a multi-agency targeting, is there any statistics, anything from that regarding any faults, any follow-ups they got to do?
Right, 4.1.6, okay. Apologies, Chair, not that I can think of. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I can't think. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I can recall there were some minor faults found, such as first aid kits not having the private hire number on as required by the policy, and some minor defects as well, mainly in relation to drivers not having the 30-day records that are required to be kept in the vehicles. But as always, advice was given and follow-up action taken as necessary.
Sorry, Chair, Claire's kind of refreshed my memory now. So we did have one vehicle which was stopped because it had a flat tyre. The driver actually resolved that on the roadside. So there was no penalty points issued because that was dealt with immediately. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Parish, you've got a question you'd like to ask?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The first one is 4.1.2. 9 licensed vehicles from a neighbouring authority parking in Torvine's designated rank. Well, 9, that's a huge amount to be there all at once, if they were there all at once. Is anybody monitoring this to make sure that this isn't happening on a regular basis? And the other one, 4.1.3, 21 complaints in relation to licensed Hackney carrying and private hire drivers. Now, that's an awful lot for this, for this one quarter. Is there any reason, do you think, for that?
Thank you, Councillor Parish. I'll come in on that one. So in relation to 4.1.2, and the 9 vehicles from neighbouring authorities parking on our Torvine ranks. As Hayley mentioned previously, any information that we have about neighbouring vehicles parking on ranks is shared with the relevant local authority for them to take action as well. We do have a civil parking enforcement team that operate within the borough, and they share information with us as well. They monitor the situation, officers from the team monitor the situation as and when they're out and about. But as I'm sure you can appreciate, we can't be everywhere at one time. But we do undertake those proactive inspections and monitor the ranks when we can. In relation to 4.1.3 and the complaints relating to licensed drivers, I can't give you an answer as to why we've seen a significant increase. We do have peaks and troughs through the year where numbers do increase sometimes quite substantially, but please be assured that where we do receive complaints, officers from the team do take action as appropriate.
Thank you.
Is there anything else, Councillor Parish, or does that answer your queries?
No, well, I know you haven't got a crystal ball. I mean, I know you can't give any sort of anything else to say about the 21 complaints, but it's so high, and I thought, what's happening to them? But I accept your answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Parish.
Councillor Hawley, you've got a question as well, please.
Generally, it seems that complaints are rising quite significantly. I was just wondering how many of the complaints at the end of the day are deemed as vexatious.
Thank you. We've got a duty to investigate all complaints that we receive, and we we investigate to the best of our ability. Unfortunately, I haven't got figures to hand, but I can say that probably 90% of the complaints that we receive are as genuine complaints, but we investigate all complaints that we receive and we take action as appropriate.
Thank you.
Happy with that, Councillor Hawley, or did you want to add any supplementary?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Great. Any other questions before we move on to the recommendations? Anybody? Thank you for that. Anyway, if the recommendations are on page 11 of your agenda, the recommendations are we note and comment on the contents of the report and note the activity report for October 2023 to March 2024. Are all members in agreement with that? Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. We'll move on to the next item, which is number 5, the date of the next meeting, which is the 26th of the 9th, 2024. And on the list I got here, for your information, the next meeting is scheduled to take place on the 26th of September, as then. All right? So thank you, members. That's the end of this meeting.